We've always been very clear from day one that equality and diversity couldn't be any one person's responsibility. Everybody's responsible for that because it's part of the culture of the organisation. So the key for us has always been really to, if you like, cascade any initiatives, any work that we've been doing across the organisation as well as down. It's everybody's responsibility.
For us, it isn't just about treating people because of, a protected characteristic. It's about treating individuals, and what we want to do with our tenants and our employees is to recognise that everyone's different, to build our services and our employment around that, and to make sure that everyone has opportunity, is heard, and to give them the best potential.
We have invested significantly. We launched our equality and diversity human rights framework a few years ago, and what we said is at that point, look, we're going to commit to 3 years of training because we recognised in some areas we're coming for a relatively low base. So we said, well, we can invest in it in terms of training, but it needs to be more than that. You need to have the right people, the team that are working on this day in, day out, communicating across the organisation and working with partnerships. They're making sure that the messages are getting out. So formal training, informal training as well, and our communication strategy both within and outside the organisation, and as I say, making the most of the partnerships that we've got in Sefton to get the best results for all residents.
We work very closely, our team here, the neighbourhood team and One Vision Housing. We have a weekly meeting on a Wednesday. The idea being that if we've got problems, then the housing and the council can help us with those problems, and if they've got problems, we can help them. So it works very well in this neighbourhood.
We work with a variety of partners across the board. It's really, operationally and strategically, we couldn't do the work that we do without them. There'd be duplication, there'd be overlap. Obviously we have remedies that we can, civil remedies, they have criminal remedies, and working together and showing the community, showing victims, showing perpetrators that we are working together is a very strong message and gets very good results for us.
It's difficult to say on sort of a wider scale about what the issues are, but certainly in this area, in this neighbourhood, there are issues with hate crime, and certainly One Vision Housing's power and the partnership working that we've done together is having an impact on that.
We're talking about hate crime, we're talking about gay, lesbian groups, disability, mental health issues, race. It's about us knowing our customer profiling information. We have quite a lot of hate crimes around disability within our area, so it's about knowing your customer base really, and it's about knowing which groups you might need to work on in terms of under-reporting of hate crime. The Ford and Pendle project, we're going to be using our profiling data to go out with the police and other agencies and the council to actually do some prevention, talk to people in those potential risk groups, target harden the properties with extra security, make them aware of what hate crime is, how to report it. Some people report through to us criminal damage. It might be hate crime, they just don't know the terminology. So it's about educating potential victims as well, really, to make sure that we tackle under-reporting rather than just tackling the people that come through the door.
Our customer insight strategy was developed back in January, and basically it's like an umbrella for all our equality and diversity monitoring information and data across the profiles, and we bring into that our customer intelligence data, which covers satisfaction questionnaires, all our tenant talk stuff from complaints, and different areas of the business, and we pull that in to our centralised team, and it comes under that strategy. And basically what we're trying to do is trying to build up a really big picture of who our customers are and everything about them, their needs, their wants, their behaviours. So we have a complete profile on our customers. Using the Customer Insight programme, we can find out who really does need particular types of support and tailor the services to those particular groups.
Between us and everybody that comes down here, we run a community garden called Ford Lane Community Garden. We don't discriminate against any sort of person. They come in here as a volunteer, as a helper. Some people have different issues that they may have, and we can work around most of those. But what we find is they start working with the plants, growing things. Their confidence grows because the plants react to that. And then as their confidence grows, they deal with people better. and they form relationships amongst other volunteers, amongst other people down here. We throw them in at the deep end because customers might come in and wanting veg, or visitors come in asking questions, and we just let them get on with it. What they're doing is responding to the environment itself, and that has a great level. It equalises everybody, because you can be anything. These plants will respond in exactly the same way, and that leads to sort of levelling and confidence building. And I think it's the plants that are the therapists, not me.
The Buddy Up project was an intergeneration project working with school children from the local area and our older residents from the sheltered accommodations. The school children used to go in over a certain amount of weeks and speak with the older people with regards to the likes of the war, because the children were actually learning about the war in school, World War II, and the older people could bring their life experiences to help the young children. Well, obviously one of the main ones is targeting the misconceptions and the ideas like nowadays that older people have towards the young children, and it was breaking down them barriers as well, and it was lovely to see actually, and the two generations actually got a lot out of it themselves.
We were talking to them as if they were grown-ups kind sort of thing, and it made them feel good to think, you know, the likes of us, the grown-ups, are talking to them and talking to them like as if they were grown up and all.
Talking to them, they were so well behaved, weren't they? And they wanted to know, and it was genuine, wasn't it? They did want to know.
They were interested.
Yeah.
Obviously when we advertise all of our vacancies that go externally, we post on Job Centre Plus. We post with connections if that's relevant. We post with the Equality and Diversity Group, Diversity Britain, Sahir, and we send out an email to cover all of those areas to make sure that we're covering all groups. We work in partnership with Remploy. They've actually been in to discuss all aids and adaptations for our staff as well, so not only do they help us advertise externally, they're helping with internal issues as well.
I'm partially sighted, which meant basically it was quite challenging for me to be able to read, as it were, sort of unaided. One Vision Housing worked in partnership with Access for Work, and after an assessment was made of my needs, certain equipment was provided then by Access for Work. And now I've got that equipment, and it's really made a massive impact now. It makes me feel very comfortable and very safe then, and it's nice to know that your employer is sympathetic and understanding to the issues that I have.
Liverpool Pride Festival, it's only their second year running, and we wanted to go down there. Basically what it is, it's getting everyone in the community, from the LGBT community mainly, and we wanted to go down there to engage with the LGBT community to try and understand whether there was any barriers that we were putting up to our services to stop them accessing our services. We've got like loads of people coming down, coming to speak to us, and the questions we were asking were what barriers there were to them accessing social housing in general, but also saying, do you feel there's any barriers to accessing employment within construction industry? And what we found was that women were quite marginalised, or felt they were marginalised, and they just thought that construction industry was too male dominated. The fantastic outcome from that really is that we'll take back we've talked back to property services and said, what can we do to advertise or market better the employment opportunities within property services to try and target more females.
The Sefton Access Forum comprises of a lot of disabled people with all manner of disabilities who form a committee, and any matters pertaining to planning and new buildings they're brought to the committee for the committee to discuss and see if there are any things that haven't been thought of. And it's a combination of planning officers, disabled people, and say we meet 6 times a year. One vision came, it was about 12 months ago, regarding the Greenfield site. This is at a very early stage to say what they were doing, what the plans were, and what we thought. So we're involved at a very early stage, and what I found out today is when the work is completed, so we're not forgotten about, we've been invited to go back and have a look at what the result of all this is.
But what it was we had a bath, and I could manage to get in the bath with the grab rails, but once it was wet I couldn't get out of the bath. They had a shower in here, but the step was too high. When I came to come out of the shower, fallen, it was, I'd hit the wall opposite, because there was no grab rail, because the door opened to the right, and that was the only place that they could put a grab rail. I rang up and told them, what was happening, and I asked them, what could I do, what advice could they give me? And they said, phone up social services, and they sent out an occupational therapy. And they came down, they said, what exactly would you like doing? And I told them what I'd like doing in an ideal world, and that's what I got it. And I would say within 5 to 6 months, it was all done, dusted, everything finished. Well, it's huge because I'm more independent. I've got my modesty back, which I didn't have before, because getting out the shower or getting out of a bath, I had to call Dave in. And, even though we're getting older and everything, you still want your little bit of privacy. You still want to be able to go in and, titivate yourself up without anybody standing there watching you.
We started looking at financial inclusion in about 2009, and we really started to develop the service. Originally we did have a welfare benefits team of 2 with a team leader who went out and gave basic benefits advice, looked at maximising people's benefits. But obviously as the financial crisis hit, we were aware that more of our tenants were going to find it difficult to pay their rent. Therefore, we started to invest a little bit more heavily in preventative means. We built up partnerships with other organisations, and we did a lot of work really around developing the budgetary skills of our customers. We've developed debt advice services, affordable warmth role, and we've really been trying to proactively target some of our more vulnerable customers to ensure that they are getting the monies that they're entitled to. This helps us not only as a business because it puts more money in the pockets of people who are able to pay the rent, but also as a social responsibility that we have to our customers.
It's really important for One Vision because people are living longer. And really in the economy now, I think there's quite a bit of what we call the silver pound. People of age 70 could have another 20, 30 years to live, and it's important that we tailor our services for the ageing population. And one of the ways that we can do that is have events like this, make people feel comfortable, sit down and talk to them and ask them what their hopes and aspirations are for their future, not just take it for granted that they want to sit in a sheltered accommodation, because I don't think that we do. What we did when we were looking at our, what we would call hard to reach groups, we realised they're not actually hard to reach. We know where they are, we need to reach them. So we did a door knocking of all our BME residents, because first of all, how do we know they can speak English or not? So we knocked on over 200 houses, and the response and the outcomes of that were fantastic. We stopped a Polish lady from being evicted. She didn't know that we could use Language Line. We helped a Russian family in a property that needed loads of repairs. properties. And the biggest outcome for that was people who are in our properties that don't speak English and who haven't got funds to get on a bus to their local office, our properties were going into disrepair. So one of the outcomes was we now have a quarterly visit by the housing officer, so we're getting to know who our neighbours are and who our BME residents are.
One Vision Housing's view on equality and diversity isn't just the standard things, it isn't just complying with the law, it isn't just making sure that people's lives are not disadvantaged because of their race, their religion, their age, their sex, their sexuality. It's much, much more than that. For us, it's all about community, it's all about delivering sustainable communities, it's about financial inclusion, it's about making people that are on low incomes aren't disadvantaged in any way. It's about health, it's about promoting health. We've seen that with the Urban Garden, and here they're fit and active in older years for the older people. There's so many different things that come into equality and diversity for us.
I don't even think that all of our staff realise that what they're doing is equality and diversity all of the time. They just know they're doing the right thing. They just know that what they're doing is making the service they provide better to our customers and to our residents, and that's why they do it. They don't do it because they think I should be doing X, Y or Z because that ticks the boxes. They're doing it to provide a better service to our tenants.
We realise that we don't always have all the answers, and it's only by working in partnership with people like the Sefton Equalities Partnership and all of their subgroups that we as an organisation will get better and move forward.